The new generation of Red Dead Redemption has finally arrived, and after playing the Switch 2 versions recently, I was really curious how this iOS version actually performs and plays. I've got my 13-inch M4 iPad Pro, 11-inch M2 iPad Pro, and my iPhone 16 Pro Max. So, how does Red Dead Redemption run on all of these devices? Let's find out. Before we start, please check out Mr. MacRite. If you want deep technical breakdowns like resolution, reconstruction, frame pacing, and benchmarks, watch his earlier videos on iOS. But this video is purely my real-world experience playing and testing Red Dead on iPhone and iPads. Let's start with iPhone 16 Pro Max. It's good but not perfect. Visually, the iPhone version looks good, but just don't expect it to look sharper like the Switch versions. The mobile port uses heavy reconstruction, so some textures and distant objects look soft. But in real gameplay, it still looks pretty nice for a phone. On my 16 Pro Max, I can switch between performance and fidelity mode. If you can't see this option because it's only available on iPhone 15 Pro and newer models of iPhones. Here's a quick chart by Mr. MacRite on FPS on iOS. Performance mode on iPhone 16 Pro Max locked at 40 FPS, and honestly it feels very smooth. Most people won't notice the difference between 40 and 60 FPS in this type of game. But switching to fidelity mode gives you more detail but drops to 30 FPS, which is noticeable.
Yeah. And here's the corral.
Personally, I prefer performance as the graphics are fine and it looks more smooth. But keep in mind, performance mode does heat up the iPhone, and since it's summer here in Australia, it gets pretty warm. Touch controls, they are fine.
I mean, it's alright, like...
Red Dead was never made for touchscreens, but if you are used to mobile gaming, you'll be okay. But does this game support a controller? The answer is yes. Even though the App Store description doesn't mention it, as of making this video, controller support does work. I tested it with the PS5 controller, it works well, but does not support haptics. But on the latest iPads like my M4 iPad Pro, it gets way more enjoyable. This is where the experience jumps. The big screen helps a lot. It's almost a console level and the game feels smoother, cleaner and more immersive. And the best part, performance mode runs at stable 60 FPS on M4 and later iPads. This version looks great, plays great, and with the controller connected, man, it's honestly close to the Switch 2 version with a bigger and better display. FPS stays locked, no stutters. For me, the iPad version is the best way to play Red Dead Redemption on iOS. But on the M2 iPad Pro, you don't get performance fidelity toggles. It's locked at 29.99 FPS, but weirdly, it feels smoother than the iPhone's 30 FPS. Probably because of the GPU response time as it stays under 16 ms. Based on that, I feel like 40 FPS would have been easily achievable on this device. If you play with touch controls, good news is you can edit and move the layout however you like, and if you are like me and who used to play mobile esports like PUBG Mobile or Apex Legends Mobile, you can even set up a claw finger layout. Man, aiming had gotten harder than I remember, or maybe I have become rusty with touch controls. So, should you play Red Dead Redemption on iOS? Absolutely yes, but I don't really recommend playing it on iPhone unless that is the only option you have, as it's probably gonna stress your iPhone processor and batteries, so keep that in mind. But a cooling attachment might help a lot. But if you have an iPad and if it's the latest gen, connect a controller and man, you will going to have a great time with this game. To sum up, if you have an iPhone, it's good for casual play. If you have an latest iPad, it's actually pretty great. That's Red Dead Redemption on iPhone and iPad. I hope you will enjoy your cowboy journey on your mobile. As always, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.